think what I've learned about motivating, empowering and enabling others is that as a leader you don't have to hold on to everything and do it yourself, and that if you can give space and responsibility to people, then they will step into that. And a lot of your job as a leader is about cultivating other leaders and about finding the opportunities to grow the skills and confidence and capabilities of others, pushing them into situations where they have room for growth and to develop their skills. And a huge point of learning for me was that I didn't have to be the one doing everything, and it's really a relief to think that you can build and grow others to take on roles that you might yourself once have thought you could be the only person doing. A lot of people talk about collaboration, and actually it's incredibly hard to get right. So I could point to more examples of where I've seen bad partnerships and poor collaboration than examples of good collaboration. Usually where it goes wrong, there's a mismatch of ideas about what a programme or a project is. The relationships aren't quite right, so people haven't spent the right amount of time building a proper kind of team or an identity of how to work together. There's perhaps a power inequity between two organisations or two people, and there's a desire to own something and to take it forward as an organisation, this kind of propriety, like get your tanks off our lawn kind of attitude. And really genuine collaboration, so that you might throw your IP and your brand out the window and say, okay, we're actually just going to forget about who owns it and think really collectively and creatively about ideas, I think is quite a scary place to be, but is really where a lot of the value is. And some of the best work I've seen in the social sector over recent years has been through multidisciplinary collaboration. So teams that might comprise of a social researcher and a designer and a psychologist and a facilitator and someone with lived experience of a mental health condition, bringing together of really varied perspectives, I think, is where there's really rich opportunity for a collaboration. Too often, I think, people try and collaborate when they're very similar organisations, and it can go a bit wrong because they're not complementing each other's skills and expertise. But when it goes really right, it's like a mixture of unusual suspects in a room and something magical just happens. I don't think I think consciously about influencing. I don't get up in the morning and think, right, today I need to influence this person and that's how it's going to work. I think when you're really passionate about your work, influencing becomes just trying to share that passion and trying to see if other people pick up on it and if there are connections there. There are definitely techniques I've learned that are more successful than others. So one of the biggest points of learning I have about influencing is bringing together a mixture of methods to share information. Some people will be persuaded by personal stories and anecdotes. Some people will be persuaded by data and diagrams. Some people will be persuaded by a really compelling vision of the future. And some people need all of that and more. And so whenever I'm trying to develop a project or a proposal, I'm always thinking about bringing together those different kind of audio-visual story elements, because what works for one person won't work for another. I think the single biggest thing I've seen work in influencing is the voice of people on the ground, people with lived experience. I mean, in my field, in the kind of public sector, the single biggest influencing thing is often when you bring someone into the room who's got, who's using social care services or on a housing estate where a regeneration programme is going on, and their credibility and authenticity just seems to cut through everything else. And the thing I've seen people try to use when influencing, which doesn't often work, is bringing in someone else's authority. So sometimes you see people trying to name check their manager or the board member, the chair of the board of the person that you're talking to, as if to kind of say, look, I know your boss, so you'd better get in line. And that always falls down flat on its face whenever I see it rolled out.